Hey y'all, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Angel, aka the Angelic Muse. I'm an intuitive tarot reader as well as a certified Reiki practitioner. And as you can see from the title, I am back here with another pick a card for you all. This one is just about, well, the topic is just healing love messages. These are messages of clarity, of understanding, of hopefully healing. And just all around, like, just wisdom when it comes to your situation, whether or not you're dealing with a breakup, an argument, something confusing within your love life or your relationships. Whatever the case may be, if you gravitate to a pile in here, there's something of substance for you, I'm sure. So we're going to have 3 objects to choose from. The object is actually rings. It's not crystals this time. I just wanted to, I don't know, I even know why I chose to do rings. It is kind of interesting. I'm choosing rings for a love topic, but I was just like, I want to do something different. And then I'm like, I always wear my rings, so let me not wear my rings. And I'll just use those as a prop. So for your first choice, we have this fairy ring. For your second choice, we have the snake ring. And then for your last choice, we have the butterfly ring. So, you can take the time now if you want to pause the video and just meditate on whatever pile or ring interests you the most, or you gravitate towards the most. Whether that's one or all 3 is entirely up to you and your intuition. But if you don't gravitate to any at all, that just means this isn't the reading for you. But I do hope you come back for another one. So timestamps will be down below, as well as all of the decks that I am using and my links. If you'd like to book a personal session with me, you can do so over on my website, www.theangelicmuse.com. And yeah, I think that's about it. So without further ado, I will see you all at your timestamp. Hey, Pile 1. So if you chose this fairy ring here, this is your reading. I'm going to put your ring on. Well, my ring, but y'all choice on. I'm going to start out with your tarot first, and then I'll get into your oracle reading. All right. So for your first card, you have the Death card. For your second card, you have the Emperor. For your third card, you have the Two of Cups. For your fourth card, you have Justice. And then for your fifth card, you have the Eight of Cups. All right, so I do find it interesting that you have 2 cards that like signify leaving something. For example, like the Death card, that's like a whole entire transformation. And it's leaving one life to go into the next. And then this with the Eight of Cups, that's leaving one circumstance maybe and moving into the next one. But there are feelings attached here. Whereas with the Death card, when you're called to go, like, I don't know if y'all watch the any NDEs, like near death experiences or whatever on YouTube, but I used to have like a big obsession with those. But I know that from those people's experiences and stories, they typically had no feeling involved because you kind of are thrusted into it. So it may have been a situation like this, like not necessarily no feeling. They don't have any emotions involved or tied to the experience, which would make sense here because going into something with someone you don't know, you don't really have emotions tied to them in a way you would if you know, when it's something new. So this is a very fitting card. However, I don't, with it being the Death card here, there seems to be a great deal of magnitude as if this was a completely different experience from your past ones. with this Emperor card here, this person could have offered some sort of stability, structure, very like you knew what to expect from them, very in charge, very the Emperor in itself is a very masculine card. He's over all the kings. Um and his wife is the Empress. So like it's very high level authority, someone who is very sure of themselves. Um and then with the Two of Cups here, it seems to have been a very healthy connection in terms of emotions and just equal give and take. It just seems like a very what's the word I'm looking for? Like safe, a very safe relationship or connection that was had here. Even with the Justice card brings a sort of balance and harmony to a situation. It's very equal. You both are knew like your roles, or not even like traditional roles in a sense, but just in terms of what it is that what part you played in the connection. You knew where you stood, they knew where they stood, like it just, or they stand, whether this is past tense or present tense. It just seems like a very solid relationship. So if this is one, if you're listening to this and you're reading as someone who is in a relationship but just maybe going through something, the feelings towards it seem to be like on the outside, and not even that, on the grand scheme, in the grand scheme of things, it seems to be very stable, very solid foundation here, and this has a lot of potential to it. um it seems like whoever this energy is here with the Emperor has more than enough, like an overflow of what they would love to give in terms of the connection. However, for some reason, with the Justice and then the Eight of Cups coming right after it, the Eight of Cups, like whether this is you or the other person, like you just want to kind of up and walk away with everything still intact. It feels like there's still a lot of emotion here, like it's unfinished business because you're leaving all of this behind. Typically, when I see that, it looks like it feels like you're just walking away, but there just feels like a lot of heavy baggage that's being left, and not even bagging it in a sense where like when if you were to continue on with each other it would be, but if you were to like try to pursue something else right now or whatever, it just wouldn't fare well because you have so many ties here. With this Justice card being before it, it just feels like maybe, and even although it is upright, the only reason I'm saying this is because it comes directly before the Eight of Cups, is that maybe on your end, or if this is coming from the other person's end, maybe on their end, there is an imbalance in terms of like it's almost like everything is there but that one thing. Like it sounds crazy. It's like you want to walk away from this because it's not hitting in every single way. Like the relationship isn't hitting. It's like they're great, but they're not like everything. And the thing about, and I'm not here to tell anybody what to do or anything, but I will say that the thing about relationships, especially in this day and age, that there's a lot to compare it to, whether it be unknowingly or knowingly. And it's never really beneficial. Like, we may see all these things happening for other people that we want for ourselves. It's not that the thought or the feeling comes out of nowhere. However, a lot of the things that we see are amplified to make them look a lot better than they are. And, if this is a case of like, I'm walking away because you check off 9 out of the 10 boxes, but I need all 10, then that's not going to fare well with you in the end, because like I said, there's a lot of emotional ties still left here. It feels like unfinished. If it's not, or if it's still actively going and you just want to walk away, there seems like a lot of stability and potential here, and someone who's actually willing to provide and work with you and balance it out, whether it takes something as far as counseling or just simply having the right communication, because you can communicate all you want, but if there's two different, levels of that, or we're not on the same page, then sometimes it's okay to have a mediator in there to step in for you with an unbiased opinion, of course, not necessarily family and friends or anything like that, but you know. But like I said, with this death card here, it seemed like a huge, like 180 from maybe what it was that you were used to, or the type of experiences you were used to having in terms of relationships. But this is just a matter of saying, okay, I'm not saying settle at all. I would never tell someone to settle, but I will say to the best thing here is to be realistic in terms of like what it is that you're asking for, because if you yourself don't check off all, like, you could come to find out you didn't check off all their boxes and they still wanted to deal with you or whatever. They still found you worthy enough or special enough to build a life with, and yet you may be feeling another which way about it because of what is it. Just ask yourself, is what if what it is really that important, if it's worth losing or worth because at the end of the day, everything happens for a reason. I will say that. So whether you decide to walk away completely or not is entirely up to you. But life has a funny way of working out when we kind of go against what is beneficial to us versus what just looks good on paper. So let me get into your oracle reading now. So your cards, you have actually, wow, it says avoid wishful thinking, and this is represented by the number 38. 38 goes up to 11 with this justice card here. It's all about balancing. Let me read it. It says, it's possible to confuse your desire for genuine intuitive guidance. It's possible to confuse your desire for genuine intuitive guidance, especially when you're wishing for a specific outcome. Get a second opinion on your sixth sense via synchronicity. Ask Spirit to show you a clear sign in the external world about which direction to follow now. Trickster energy is afoot. Trickster energy is afoot is crazy because you chose the fairy ring, and in the beginning of this, I said, like, I think fairies and like it was. Let me see. It says something about playing games. Yes, fairy symbolizes games, growth, and illusions. So, and it says they're not straightforward. They're complicated beings on their own path. So maybe you resonate with that energy in a sense where, and I'm not saying that like you're manipulative or you play games or whatever, but you are maybe you live in your head a lot and you have this grand picture that you feel like is what you want for your life, but it may not necessarily pan out the way you like. That fairy tale fairies remind like fairy that fairy tale type energy, but you have a great thing going here, and it just feels like if the both of you were willing to work with each other, as it shows in this Two of Cups here. Maybe when you have disagreements on things, you need to find a way around the just being more understanding of the fact that the problem is the problem and it's not the other person, your partner that you're trying to build with. Maybe a fairy, I don't necessarily understand the whole thing surrounding fairies just yet, but maybe like that type of energy came in and shook some shit up in your relationship or whatever, this connection, and it caused some sort of like disillusion. So where it is like you're desiring for something to happen, but it wasn't supposed to happen that way anyway, and the only reason you want it that way is because this trickster energy popped in the first place. Otherwise, you would just be coasting. Like, y'all would be good. Let me see. I'm gonna read the rest of it out of the book, though. I just got this deck. This one is on page 86, and it says, when people are wrapped up in wishful thinking, it's as if their desires become a social media filter or rose-colored glasses through which everything is viewed. Wishful thinking is a warped perception of the world. When you want and what's possible may not exactly align right now. Keep in mind that sometimes what we wish for in the moment is not what's best for us in the long run. Take a broader stance regarding options now and think long-term benefits. It's also a time for compromise and negotiation, acceptance about what's out of your control, and perhaps even making the best of a difficult situation. If you feel very emotionally attached to a specific outcome or find yourself trying to talk yourself and others into the idea of something being true, make sure you're not falling prey to wishful thinking. The truth isn't always easy to sit with, but acknowledging it always helps you move forward in a practical way and enhances your ability to co create and access your intuition. Your wishful thinking may be blocking progress now. Remember that the trickster may lead you down a path just to prove to you that it leads nowhere. Remain hopeful and practice self love now as you take the blinders off. And listen, self love sometimes is you telling yourself, your ego, to be quiet because you can't hear your intuition. So, like this said, sometimes that energy can lead you on a path to nowhere. Make sure that this Eight of Cups isn't leading you like not nowhere, but obviously you're gonna go somewhere, but it may not necessarily end up. Just make sure you're weighing your options in the same way you would like the balance to be weighed out within the relationship. Make sure you're doing that within yourself and the decisions you make. I wouldn't like moving strictly off of emotion when it comes to relationships, especially, is not necessarily the best. It's not necessarily conducive to the broader scheme of things, because there's going to be times where, realistically speaking, you'll love your partner, but you may not like them for a little bit. Like, you're like, I don't like the fact that you did that, and we have to find a way around it. And sometimes it'll be like that with them, and that's when you come in. It's the same as any other relationship you build. You're never going to be like on good terms all the time, and I'm not saying they're going to be bad terms, but I'm just saying there are going to be times when you disagree. A relationship is one of the hardest to maintain because it's two different upbringings, two different outcomes, households, two different peoples, two different lifestyles, two different childhoods, and that is something to factor in. And none of that has to do with emotions, none of it. And sometimes we have to put our egos and our pride to the side and our wishful thinking to the side in this sense, and kind of be like, what, I do got a good thing going, and I'm blessed to have it, and I thank God for it, and try to look at the positives there. More often than not, and even when times get tricky for you. So your next card you got is opposition, confrontation, and this one's represented by number 53. And look what's on it. It's Rams, which is the same thing as the Emperor card. So within the both of you, there's this ram within both of you that kind of just charges at each other, where you feel like maybe I'm right, no, you're right. There's an imbalance, and it's not the broader picture isn't being seen here. Like, are you building with me or not? You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I'll say this: with what I've seen throughout the tarot, it seems like a very, very strong, loving and giving connection that we have here. But if you're going to continue to allow your egos to get the best of you, then, and I understand I said this was a healing messages, reading, but the thing about healing is that it's not always nice, it's not always pretty, it doesn't always feel good. And what's coming up for the cards for me is that one or both of you need to get out of your heads and into your hearts more in terms of this imbalance. It seems like I said, that this person is willing to provide and do all these amazing things for you, but when y'all bump heads here, it's like, oh well, I'm about to just go. Like, I don't feel it don't feel good to me, so I'm out. Where again, like, it's not always going to feel good. You know what I mean? Marriage isn't built on just love. Commitment isn't built on just love. It's not, or just good feelings. You know what I mean? So, you got to kind of do what you got to do to get yourself out of that. And not only that, but 53 goes down to the number 8. 8 is all about balancing, like spiritually and materialistically. So that means in your head and on the ground when it comes to realistic, practical matters and what's going on up top. So if there's some type of like pride or whatever in the way, then that's always going to trump whatever else, because it's a lot louder. But 53 opposition is on page 122. It says, when two planets oppose each other across the circle of the zodiac, as the sun and moon do on a full moon, both planets will either be in signs of yang elements, fire and air, or yin elements, water and earth, and stare directly at each other across the earth like partners in a wrestling match. I was just crazy because I was going to say, when they said stare, I'm like, I can just picture y'all two staring across the room from each other, just like strapped up and ready to go and like battle it out. It's crazy. The opposition can feel like a dare or a challenge, like boot camp, where a confrontation pushes everyone to grow. The action here is, this is not a comfortable situation, but that's not the point. You're being challenged to grow. Look at the situation as a dojo, a martial arts training center, and take the training. You don't have to trust the wisdom of the people you are wrestling with, but you can trust the pattern itself in this great cosmic workout. Practice your best skills, stay centered, and operate from wisdom and strategy instead of emotional heat. That's what I was saying. It's not good to go strictly off emotion. Listen for hints on how to improve your style. The obstacles in your way are not there to stop you, but to push you towards your personal best. This situation may be set up as a dichotomy, you or them, love or work, your ideas versus their ideas. Question the dichotomy's illusion and look for a third position or resolution, a both and solution versus either or. If the way forward feels truly blocked, look for another path. Sometimes an opposition, particularly in transit, says you shall not pass this way. Find another route. An opposition dares you to proceed. Decide if this path is worth the struggle. If it is, grow those skills, hold your ground, and fight for what you believe in. You're being asked to prove to yourself and others that you have the skills needed for the next step. And then, I'm not going to read the gift, but the challenge here says, this situation is an inconvenient growth opportunity, but not a punishment. Decide if it is time to build muscles or to find another path. So again, that goes back to this Eight of Cups energy. Like if you really feel like this is just, say for you personally, this just looks good on paper, or you feel like it's just not worth the fight, then sure, take all your things and go and move on to the next situation. But if this is just one of those one-off things where it's like, listen, or even if this is, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's some type of cycle, but it could be for you something that you just continuously go through. I didn't pick that up. It just seems like it's something brief, like emotionally driven, and it's something that can be worked out. And I think it's important to remember why you started. I'm not saying to hold that as, because I understand people change, and things happen in life where it brings out sometimes the best in us and sometimes the worst in us. So this is definitely on you. Tarot and myself will never tell you what to do with the cards. I'm just picking up on the energy here, and it just feels as though there are some things that if you truly feel like you're not emotionally ready for a relationship, or they, or them too, then by all means. But just make sure you're not driving it. You're feeling that way strictly off your emotions just because one thing didn't go right, or whatever the case may be. And then lastly, for your Starseed Oracle, you got big picture thinking, Pleiades energy, visionary, inspired ideas. And that big picture thinking just goes back to what I was saying I was saying, look at the bigger picture in terms of, or the broader, I don't know if I said the bigger picture or the, like looking at it from a broader scale, just like on what you're doing it for, remembering why you started, knowing what you want to build, knowing what it takes to get there, understanding that all moments there's going to be some moments in there that aren't the best, and there's going to be some that are make me feel like I'm on cloud nine. Like it's not linear. Nothing in life is linear. It's a forever changing, and it's just up to us to flow with it and adapt with it, especially when it comes to our emotions in these relationships, because that'll be the thing that'll kind of take you out the game, I guess. Let me see what page that's on. Big picture thinking. That one's on page 38, and it says, the Pleiadians are our cosmic cousins. They're here to remind us that it's never too late to learn new things and change the future. You're being called to be a visionary for the planet, to take a breath, shake off what you've been taught about the world, and hold a new vision for humanity. You're likely a natural big picture thinker, here to generate ideas for the future. here to birth a new age and dream a new world into being. The future will be woven by dream makers like you, by those with enough courage to question the way things have been and envision new possibilities for the planet. The world needs more artists, dreamers, inventors, and visionary thinkers. Perhaps you've had an idea recently that you've been called to usher in. If so, this card is your confirmation that it's divinely guided. The Pleiadians support us in this important stage in Earth's development. They want us to know that the decisions we make today will affect the well-being of our planet and all its species. They're calling on you to be a leader of the future, to hold a clear vision of what's possible, to trust that vision and follow it through with daily action, to dream a new world into being, to hold your mind open and try not to worry about what others think. For it takes great courage to pave a new path, to trust a vision before it's a reality. Okay, so what I'm getting from that card is that just goes back into this death card that I was talking about. This is just a huge transition, a huge flip. So this isn't like something you're used to, but maybe you want to walk away from it based off of the past experiences that you've had. You're like, oh well, this isn't going to go well. Like again, like maybe sabotaging type energy. Um, but just think, like the card says, you're creating a new life. So this is something that hasn't been done before. Maybe it's something you haven't even had examples of. Maybe any relationship that you can piggyback off of is toxic, or it just didn't end well, or ended in divorce, or it's not stable, whatever the case may be. So maybe this is something that you're paving the way for. So naturally it'll be a lot harder. And there is Aries energy in here, and in here it feels like. So that's the first sign of the zodiac. It's a lot of like starter energy in here. So with that being said, it's like if you build up all this endurance and this strength just to walk away from it, you know, as long as if you've exhausted all possibilities, then it is what it is. But if you haven't, and nobody's saying cancel out all your emotions or don't factor them in at all. It's just saying in terms of love, in terms of like just building upon love, we have to be considerate of all parts involved, all of the strings that are attached to it. That includes other people's feelings, and then just being considerate of that. So like while you may be hurt about one thing, they could be hurt about another, and it's like neither person is being hurt. This is really just a matter of just getting over this hump, whether it be involving other resources, like I said, third parties, or just sitting down and really having that genuine conversation with each other. And then you have open your heart, not just a little, all the way, and let the love flow in. Just like this card says, you want to be open like a book. Like you want to just don't just put your feelings out there surface level and then just walk away from it, or don't like hold back just because you think it's going to go the worst way, because trickster energy goes that way too. Yeah, it'll make you feel like, okay, walk away from all of this, like it's not serving you, you got 9 out of the 10 boxes checked. But it can also make you feel like, oh, this is such an amazing thing, but because it's not everything I want, like I have to go find what I want, or else I'm not good enough type energy. Like it can sabotage you, the partner, or it can sabotage yourself, no matter which way it goes. But let me just read. I just hit the damn thing. Sorry if y'all heard that. I'm gonna read y'all last 3 affirmations I pulled for y'all. Your first one says, today I will not give in. Today I will not allow negative thoughts or feelings to prevent me from achieving happiness. Yes, that goes back to that disillusion I was talking about, like or illusion in general, having those negative thoughts. Whether this happiness has to do with you finding what is aligned with you, or it's, again, like I said, kind of self-sabotaging it out the way. Don't give into that. Don't tell yourself you're not good enough. Don't let the argument overpower the now at that point, that's when I'll say factor in the emotion. It's like you gotta know when to do it. Like, okay, we're bigger than this problem. Let's move forward. Let's move past it. Why? Because I love you, whatever the case may be. But and I want to build with you, most importantly, because you can love a person and it not be right for you. But in terms of this, it just feels like you both have the capacity to have that with one another once all the hurdles are crossed. Then you have today I will look ahead. Today I will see my future. It is a beautiful life I'm looking forward to. Yep, that's all about being optimistic and just again like putting those negative thoughts to the side and maybe not even harping on past experiences like things that were done in the past. It's like Corinthians says, and just love does not I can't remember the whole thing, but it doesn't boast or brag, it doesn't keep tabs. It's not really in the business of like, all right, you did this to me, like tit for tat. That's not how love works. It's a frequency in itself, and it's not just limited to one person. But at the same time, it's it's different when it's on a level that is like it's personal. Like you can love like humanity, but when it's one person, it's like, all right, I gotta treat this a bit differently. I can't really treat you as if you were just somebody out on the street, if that makes sense. Like I have to give you a little bit more grace and extend that to you because we're building this together. And then your last one says, today I have faith. Today I have faith and truly believe that anything is possible. And that means good or bad. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna say bad, but that means if you're thinking bad, like you're gonna think that's possible, but that means good too. To have faith means to believe in it in a more positive light. So to truly believe that anything is possible means you want the good or the positive to trump that. That's all I was saying. Like I wasn't trying to say think bad about it. Of course not. Um, but yeah, I definitely, like I said, as far as the overall message goes, like I said, it feels like this was a very pivotal relationship for you, and it feels like or connection. It feels like it has a lot of growth and potential to it. Um, why you're feeling like walking away from it, again, just make sure that it equals out to the depth and the gravity of the relationship as a whole. If it's something that can be worked out or worked through, then again, there are third party resources that are available to you. If not, simply wanting it for yourselves and each other and for the family, the bigger picture, your descendants. If you're trying to do this a new way, then just keep that goal in mind and just push forward, because there's going to be times where you're tested throughout this life, because life isn't easy for anybody. It's choosing your heart is a daily thing. Okay. So just have the perseverance, the strength, and the faith to do it, and you can do all things. But Power One, that is all I have for you. I pray this message resonates with you. If it does, please let me know down in the comments. You can like and subscribe as well. All of my links will be down below. Like I said in the intro, you can book a session with me, www.theangelicmuse.com. And yeah, I thank y'all so much for being here, and I pray you enjoy the rest of your day or your night. Hey, Pal 2. So if you chose this snake ring here, this is your reading. I said I was going to wear the ring. I put it on for Pal 1. So, I'm going to get into your tarot now, and then I will go. I left 1 or 3. That's your affirmation cards I pulled. So, your first card is the High Priestess. Your second card is the Seven of Cups. Your third card is the Nine of Pentacles. Your fourth card is the Eight of Wands. And then your fifth card is the Star. Okay. So, Pal 2, I get the feeling that you really love being alone. Like you truly, thoroughly, fully enjoy being alone. Like you have no problem sitting at home by yourself with a good movie, a good book, your food, your snacks, your phone, whatever you need. You don't even mind turning that off, honestly. Like I feel like you are so content with being alone. But I feel like the only reason you're content with being alone is because when this Seven of Cups energy comes up, it overwhelms you. Like you feel like I'm just cool in my bubble because then I don't have to deal with this type of shit right here. And I feel like this is exactly what has happened. And I'm not laughing because I feel like it's funny. I'm laughing because I get it. Like, I'll be like, I'm ready to go home. Like, get me the up out of here. I'm cool. I'm good off of it, especially if it's like finicky type energy. So that's why I'm not laughing at the situation, because I don't even know the situation. Um, I will start out with this High Priestess card. I feel like obviously you're very intuitive. You're very like, you're very, very understanding, and sometimes it can be and this is just what I'm picking up. I feel like you can be understanding to a fault. It's like the High Priestess herself isn't, but it feels like what your understanding is maybe what leads you into this Seven of Cups energy, because you're almost too understanding when someone, like, for example, you're too you can at times be too like go with the flow, and that is what leads to you feeling like you're overwhelmed with so many possibilities in which ways a situation could go. Maybe you were in like some sort of situationship, or just a very unclear direction with where you were going in terms of whatever connection it is that got you feeling like this. um they could have done anything as from shoot, I don't know why ghosting me is coming up, like just sending weird text messages. Maybe they text you late at night, like they only got time for you at a certain time. um this could be like, where are we going type energy. Like, is this leading to a relationship? Is it leading to marriage? Is it like, it's so many things, and it feels like it kind of overwhelms you to a point where you're just like, let me go ahead and enjoy my time back by myself. Like, even if you look at this Nine of Pentacles, this lady is looking this way. She almost like ready to run on her bike so she could go back to just pouring into herself. Like, she is not even looking this way. She don't want nothing to do with this kind of energy. And I feel like that's you. Like, you're okay with growing and maintaining your own um pentacles, or whatever that is. Not necessarily pentacles, but just like you're good by yourself. But you really do deep down, like, you want that connection, which is why you go out and try. It's just, it seems like when you're met with any sort of confusion, you retreat back into your hole, or what it is that you know best. Maybe not necessarily a hole, I won't say that, because you seem like you're pretty like good, when you're not distracted by like heartbreak, or disillusion, or just feeling out of your element. Like, you on your own is a very stable, solid, and caring and nurturing person to yourself. It's just that when you feel like you can't get this right, you may start to second guess your own abilities, or who you are as a woman, or a person, or a man, whatever you are, whoever's watching this. Because it doesn't necessarily have to be a woman, but I it just feels like you kind of rush back into this energy when you are afraid. And listen, like, the message here, before I even get into the oracle, just seeing someone who has such amazing qualities, who feels like they're not good enough, only in times of in conversations about love, or situations dealing with love, or whatever. You are more than worthy of that. Like, you got first of all, you got two bomb ass major arcanas at the end of, you got the High Priestess and the Star. Like, girl, like, if you or guy, I don't know, listen, tell me who you are. No, but for real, like, all jokes aside, you have someone who is extremely intuitive, who knows how to look at the bigger picture of things without necessarily tying in. So, like, you use your logical side and your intuitive side. Like, you're very well versed in that area, and you have the ability uh to like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not like put yourself on a pedestal or nothing, but you honor yourself on a regular. Like, when nobody's bothering you, it's like you're good. But when you feel bothered by something, you automatically have these thoughts in your mind, and that's not conducive, because we cannot let our outer, and I know it's hard, but we cannot allow our outer circumstances to dictate the way we feel inwardly, especially when we on our shit otherwise. So that's right. That right there is a message in itself. Like if you have the ability to be alone in itself, that is something people are not like. So many people have a difficult time with that. So to be able to be attached to something, but still be able to detach from it in a sense where you are okay by yourself is honestly, in terms of relationships or connections in general, that is one of the best qualities to have, because so many people can become so codependent when they're not like that. So that is a trait that you should definitely be looking at as a positive. The only thing I'll say is that when you feel like you're jumbled or overwhelmed or uncertain about yourself or your life and the trajectory of your life in general, and when it comes to love, it's like you're so great at all these amazing things. Just look at this. This is just a challenge for you to surpass or to get over. And it may not be the easiest one. Like you may be really good in other areas, but this is just tricky for you. But it could sometimes, like, and I'm not necessarily saying this is your situation, but when we get so overwhelmed, it's because there's too much of something. So even if you have to take a break and just isolate or what, which you don't seem to have an issue with, but not doing it for reasons that make that you're because you're afraid, but doing it because you genuinely want to. So like if you can just focus on your work or focus on your growth willingly versus like, oh man, I just can't find anybody or nobody wants to be with me. It's not that. Maybe your person's just not ready for you. Maybe your person is getting themselves together. It could be a number of different things, but I wouldn't take like bad experience or uncomfortable experiences in love as like, oh, um, like this is just the end all be all for me. Um, and not only that, but this has given me like, I don't know, because it's I don't maybe because I had so many like kind of like glitches or whatever happened to me, or even like misunderstandings as far as miscommunications during Mercury retrograde and stuff. This could have something to do with something someone said to you too, like that you kind of took out of context and it caused you to retreat. Like it, because typically either somebody does something or says something that would kind of like trigger that in the first place. Like it has to be something someone did or said or you said or did within your own body. Like you could have told yourself something too. But just making sure, especially during this time when this reading is coming out, just making sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted in terms of communication and what direction it is you're going in your life. Because for some reason this Seven of Cups kind of like knocks everything else off. And I just thought of Mercury retrograde and how like judgment can become clouded around this time. And if you're reading this when I'm putting it out, or if it's Mercury retrograde during the time that you are listening to it, I said if you're listening to this, see, look at me. If you're listening to this during the time, I don't know. Did I say I don't know? See, look, I'm like really messing up. Listen, pile two, we're just gonna go back to it. If you're doing that during this time, just make sure everything is straight. I'm just gonna leave it at that because I'm just losing my shit now. All right, so I'm gonna get into your oracle cards now. Um, this one says cultivate energy awareness. It's represented by the number 13. Improving your intuition requires understanding energy, its power, its proximity, its nuances, and its importance. Notice energy, your own, the energy of other individuals and groups, the energy of situations and opportunities, the energy of physical spaces, and the fluctuations in world energy. Name and describe types of energy you encounter. Now, that's a little homework for you if you decide you want to do it. But did I show y'all? I don't know. But either way, the whole harping on the energy thing and it being in spaces and thing, I think that is another reason. Like you may really enjoy being by yourself because you know the energy within your space. You could go into like a new restaurant, a new place or whatever in somebody's home and you just be like, I don't know, I'm just gonna play the safe game. I'm gonna stay in my bubble, like I said. But it says improving your intuition requires understanding energy. And you did get the High Priestess. I made you very aware that you're on point when it comes to that. But in terms of improving it, sometimes we have to challenge ourselves out of our norms. Like say somebody did say or do something to you. That's when you stand your ground and you be like, no, I'm not. Like say they make you feel like you're not worthy. No, I am worthy still, regardless. And despite this situation, I still got a lot of shit going on within myself and for myself. And I'm not going to let this one instance knock me off my square. I think that's what this card is saying. And to notice your own energy and the energy of other individuals and groups, the energy of situations and opportunities. That's just it, even with situations and opportunities, whether it's a disagreement or some type of conflict it is that you're going through, or a misunderstanding, whatever the case may be, just understanding the energy where the misunderstanding rooted from, so that you can get down to the bottom of that and it doesn't snowball into this whole shitload of Seven of Cups. Like, it's a whole lot that that comes with like strengthening your intuition at its core, because intuition isn't going to necessarily factor in feelings, or even sometimes the shit someone says is really all in the way, like it's like an inner knowing. Like, feeling, it may be like a gut feeling or something, but it's really like an inner knowing. It's something way beyond feeling or anything earthly, for real. So it's definitely important to, I mean, and even if you do name and describe types of energy you encounter, maybe that'll help you keep track of and like be able to like discern between what energy is theirs and what's mine, because there's a lot of projection that goes on too. There's a lot of projection that goes on, and sometimes somebody might say something or do something based off of how they feel about themselves. That has nothing to do with you. So it's definitely important to keep that at the forefront of your mind. And then you got Mercury messages represented by the number 20. Mercury, that's crazy, because I did say something about Mercury retrograde with that Seven of Cups energy. I do feel like, I'm gonna read that out the book. I do feel like it has, whatever it is that you're asking about, Mercury retrograde may play a part in it, just because I got that confirmation there. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't read this one out the book. So before I read Mercury messages, I'm going to continue. I'm going to read this with the cultivate energy awareness. It says, energy is everywhere in every person, place, and object. Even opportunities, spiritual guides, oracle decks, and companies give off certain energies. Once you become more adept at sensing them with your intuition, energy doesn't lie, and it can be a shrewd way to discern the truths about a situation. As your clairsentient or feeling psychic pathway expands with regular use, you will begin to sense energies more immediately, intimately, and effortlessly, and factor what you sense into your decision making. Even a yes or no answer to a specific offer will carry certain energetic vibrations when you get used to tuning in possibilities energetically. Words in general carry an enormous energy signature, both words on the printed page and words that are spoken. When the energy of another person, group, place, or issue is overwhelming, pull back into your own nurturing energy for protection. And again, I do feel like that is what you do here. You like pull back, but like I said, this Nine of Pentacles, she ready to go off the slightest thing. It's like, be discerning about when you can take on the challenge of figuring this shit out, and when you can't. Sometimes it will become enough, but it feels like, for me, like I said, all this other energy is like self, like I'm good by myself, but then when this comes up, it's like, oh no, like this too becomes too much for me, and it scares me. Yes, scale back for in terms of protection, but know when you're protecting yourself and when you're enabling your insecurities, or when you're enabling your fears, rather. Because though it's a complete difference. You knowing when you have the energy and time for something, and knowing when you can do it, but you're just afraid to. So let me get into Mercury messages now. That one is on page 56, and it says, Mercury symbolizes your mental switchboard, how you think, communicate, and move throughout the world. The smallest planet rules Gemini and Virgo and is closest to the sun, completing its orbit in about 88 days, or Earth days. Because it orbits so close, it can only be found in the same sign as the sun, the one before it, or one after it. Mercury has a large, dense, molten core, and one day on the planet takes 58 Earth days. Mercury retrograde 3 times a year for 3 weeks, slowing time so you can remember, review, and reconnect. Before I read the rest of this, I want to say that I'm getting the like vision of like the telephone game, especially with them saying how long it one day on the planet takes 58 days on Earth. You remember the game telephone? Like, you have a whole line, like maybe 10 people. One person says something, and then it gets back down all the way down to the last person, and there's nothing like what the first person said. It's giving me Mercury retrograde energy because it takes so long to get to you. By the time it gets to you, it's not even the same shit. I don't know. That's crazy. So the action here says to communicate. The mood is quick, fast, and cerebral. Look at your situation from many different sides. Be light on your feet and make sure you have all the information you need. If not, be ready to research, investigate, translate, mediate, check your facts, and learn. Follow up on all lines of communication to make sure others understand what you said and you understand what they intended. Publish, broadcast, network, and engage social media. Make the call, submit the resume, send the manuscript, check all Mercury Road equipment such as vehicles and communication electronics, proofread and back up your files. Mythological Mercury could be a trickster when he worked for himself, but he also played the role of psychopomp, diving into the underworld to escort trapped spirits out of it. If you need to go down into your own personal underworld, it may be time to walk with a therapist. I think they meant to say talk. It says walk. Walk with a therapist, shamanic healer, or other integrist guide into that deep realm. And I'm not going to read the gift, but the challenge says, when a quick mind is not connected to the heart, it can cause trouble. Watch out for the busy hamster wheel of the mind, shallow thinking, scattered, dishonest, or glib approaches, and mistakes made when in a rush. Okay. So, with that challenge here, and I'm saying the whole thing about the watch out for the busy hamster wheel of the mind, shallow thinking, scattered, dishonest, and mistakes made in a rush. It's giving me Mercury retrograde feelings, but it's also making me feel like, again, you're good by yourself up until you start talking crazy about yourself. It's like you beat yourself down almost when you might even make a mistake, or like when it's just not working out for you in terms of love, and that's not the energy that you want to have here, because you have amazing, great qualities. And uh, it's not just because you don't get it right in one aspect of your life, it just means you need more work in that area. It's not for you to, like, that's the time for you to sit back, breathe, and really be analytical about things and use that intuition that you know you already have in other situations and apply it to in terms of love. Like, maybe you turn that switch off and you just all emotion because you may get wrapped up in a person. Maybe you give a lot of your time and energy, and because you naturally want to, but also because there's like some, I don't know why I want to say need for approval. It's like you're so good by yourself, but when it comes to when another person enters into the picture, you kind of maybe dim yourself in a sense, and don't say the nicest things. Yeah, that's what I'm getting from that, and it's that's not conducive, especially during times when things can be misconstrued, words can be misconstrued. They can be misconstrued all the time, but like during a time like this, just be careful with your words in general. Words can be taken back even when they're said to themselves. You just have to figure out a way to rework and rewire in your mind to where you don't feel that way anymore about yourself or whatever situation is you're going through, because there's an enlightenment that is tied to every uncomfortable situation. And you know, this may be something that may be the challenge for you, but eventually you'll, with enough practice and time and perseverance and patience with that thing, you'll learn to master it, and then you won't have any worries at all, really. But it's just a matter of pushing yourself sometimes and telling yourself the positive things. And then your next oracle card says the Great Severing, Mars energy, anger, conflict, and softening to love. Yeah, that's crazy because I just said how like mean I felt like maybe this Mars energy, anger, and conflict. It just feels like I'm just hearing I'm never going to be good enough, like for someone else. Like you feel like you're just so good by yourself. Maybe you are good by yourself because I feel like now I'm starting to feel like this is more so because of like, I don't know, you just feel like nothing is ever going to pan out right for you, and that's not true at all, at all. It's just a stumbling block here. Let me read it out the book. It says, this is a shadow card, one that may feel confrontational. Don't be afraid. It's here to bring to the surface anything that stands in the way of letting love in. The warring planet of Mars is our constant reminder that it's important to soften, forgive, and find our way back to love. There are many things in the human experience that make it difficult for our heart and soul to stay open to the never-ending source of love. We're all wounded, and our unconscious wounds inflict wounds on others. It can feel like a never-ending dance we can never escape if we aren't careful. Before long, we'll see the world as a scary, dangerous place where fear and anxiety roam free. That is crazy. If this card surfaces, it could be for two reasons. Firstly, for you to acknowledge the difficult emotions, situations, conflicts, wounds, and fears that are causing you pain and anxiety. And secondly, for you to find your way back to love. When we're hurt, it's normal to close off our heart to the world, to let the painful experience confirm the agony of separation in earthly life. Soften and find your way back to love anyway. When fear, anxiety, and paranoia paralyze you, it's normal to want to hide away from others and the world. Come out of your cave and soften your heart anyway. We're all innocent children spinning our way around the world. Find a way to see the innocence in all people, especially yourself. That's crazy. So, yes, like I was saying, you are so good in your own little bubble, but it's only because you have like this this outlook in terms of like how love is and how what is the word, complicated, and it can make your life. But love is an amazing award, and to be in love is something that everyone doesn't get to experience in this lifetime. I do believe that everything in life does revolve around the choices you make, and essentially it does. When you think of anything, it's all stemming from a choice that that person decided to make. So when it says to choose love, that means above the anger, that means above the conflict, that means above whatever your ego is telling you that you're not good enough for, above all, like it says, fear, like it says, anxiety. And there's more to life than just this bubble that you've been closing yourself off to, essentially. Like I said, she's ready to, I can't stress it enough. Look, I see everything but her eyes. She's still looking over there. It's like you still ready to go. You know what I mean? And sometimes we have to face our biggest fears and get to the other side just to realize it was not that bad to begin with. I could have did this whole time. And it's not even a matter of like hindsight's 2020. So naturally that might be something you say like, oh my God, I could have been faced this fear. I could have been overcame this doubt. But divine timing is just like everything happens for a reason. Divine timing is real too. Like you learn it when you're supposed to, and that is just your story. But if you choose anger and conflict and allow that to rule you, and remain closed off and shut out to all these different opportunities and spaces that you could be taking advantage of in the best of ways, like this card says, understanding energy and improving your intuition go hand in hand. So you may be like very intuitive, like more intuitive than you think you are, like maybe or maybe more understanding than you will allow yourself to be. Like you won't even allow yourself to go past a certain point in terms of that. Like, but you have it in you, if that makes sense. Like I'm telling you, you have these great qualities. Like you're deeply intuitive if you allow yourself to be. But if you continue to have that wall up and be fearful, then that's all you're really going to get. And I'm just thinking of Mars and how heated and angry that feeling can get. It's not conducive. And it doesn't. Ego and love don't even belong in this. There's no room for ego in love. Mars is all ego, all ego. Your next card says, give your inner critic a vacation day. Be kind to yourself. Exactly. Going back to what I was saying about saying nice things to yourself, beating yourself up, giving yourself all this heat and anger that isn't even, and you may be like that on other people just because you're like that on yourself. Like you may be this tough inner critic on yourself, so outwardly it looks like, oh, I just want to be alone. But no, you don't. You genuinely want connection. You just don't want it to feel complicated. but you know, we have to go through we gotta kiss a couple frogs to get to the prince. And not only that, we also have to, like I said, to willingly take a step back, not take a step back because we're fearful. But when you get to the point where you're like, you know what, I'm good on my own. I have no hate, no malice, no anger towards anything. I'm just who I am, and it is what it is. And love will come when it's supposed to, and it'll be free flowing, and then you'll allow it in. Oh, I got these backwards. All right. So lastly, I'm gonna get into your affirmations that I pulled from y'all for y'all. It says, "Today I am free of drama. Today I will let go of the people that do not support me and only surround myself with positive people." Yes, exactly. Even if that someone or those people is, or that person is yourself, you let go of people that don't support you. Let go of that old you that doesn't support your future ways, or any people that maybe you that have toxically like influence your outlook on love, or the importance of building a connection, or whatever the case may be. Because there's so much joy for every headache and annoyance there's so much joy and positivity that comes out of experience a real, raw, deep, genuine connection with someone. There's so much to build upon. And no, it's not always going to be the prettiest, happiest cloud nine moment you can never think of, but it will be worth it in the end. You just got to be willing to give it another try again and again and again until you get it right. Today I will see the possibilities. Today anything is possible. My heart is open to any and all possibilities. Exactly. That's good possibilities. You will see the possibilities, the way that life could work out for you, the way that a love situation or connection could work out for you, because anything is possible. God makes miracles every day. God is in control of all things. And I think that even with this, it says, "I will see the possibilities, not make them." So this isn't something you got to go out and force or anything. It's just something for you to sit back and receive for yourself, and you know, just for whatever energy that you're in, to just kind of cultivate that. And then lastly, you have, "Today I'm in charge. Today I am in control of how I feel. Nobody can make me feel any other way than happy." And I think you don't have problems with this when you're being in your little bubble and stuff, like I said, but nobody can make me feel any other way than happy. It does, again, include yourself. So just know you're in control of how you feel, like what's going on inside you. You could be you could have the whole world crashing down on you, but if you tell yourself, "Nah, it's all roses over here," and that's what you see, then that's just what it is. Like there's so many people, and I'm not saying ignore reality of things. I'm just saying, like, when it comes to you at your core, you can accept reality for what it is, but not allow it to have as much effect and control over you, to the point where closes you off like this, because it's not fair to you. And you know, it's not fair to whoever it is that wants to come out and love you too, or who you want to love. You know what I mean? Like deep down inside. So yeah. So pile 2, I thank you so much for being here. Oh, I didn't even read. I read for pile 1. I got to remember for pile 3 too. I want to read that for you. You picked the snake ring. So snakes represent fertility or creative life force. As snakes shed their skin through sloughing, they are symbols of rebirth, transformation, immortality, and healing. Or I don't know what that is. Ouroboros is a symbol of eternity and continual renewal of life. Eternity as well as materiality, life as well as death, and time as well as timelessness in Hindu ritual and spiritual tradition. So that last part was if you follow like Hinduism or anything, I don't know. Either way, it does represent transformation and healing. And I think that this is just a matter of you finding a new you. Now that I remembered which one you chose, it doesn't it makes sense that you chose the snakes, so you can shed this new skin and just come out like someone, I'm not gonna say like someone new, because you definitely want to remember all that you've come from, but just looking at life with a new outlook, a new perspective, in a new way, and kind of softening yourself to the beauty of it. So yeah. Pile 2, thank you so much for being here. I pray this resonates with you. If it does, please let me know down in the comments. You can like and subscribe as well. All my links will be down below. If you'd like to book a personal session with me, you can do so over my website, www.theangelicmuse.com. And yeah, I thank you all so much for being here, and I pray you enjoy the rest of your day or your night. Hey, Pile 3. So if you chose this butterfly ring, I'm trying to figure out what finger to put it on. I've been putting it on for all the piles. So you chose this butterfly ring. Here is your reading. I want to get into your child. I'm doing shit backwards. Get into your tarot first, as always. I don't know why I did that. All right. So for your first card, you have the Six of Pentacles reversed. For your second card, you have the Three of Wands. For your third card, you have the Eight of Pentacles reversed. For your fourth card, you have the Page of Wands. And then for your fifth card, you have the Queen of Cups. All right. So, this one's pretty like black and white for me, whereas I mean it's kind of like in your face, whereas the other two kind of had to think of, well, not think about them, but this is, listen, what it looks like to me, and it's just me being honest, it looks like someone who doesn't feel like they have much to offer. It feels like someone who tries and tries and tries, and it just feels like you feel like you're playing a waiting game in terms of finding love or finding a connection. Because with this Six of Pentacles here, in the upright, it gives the feeling or the essence of being able to give and take, or maybe even give more than you're receiving because you have it. You have like an overflow. And in reverse, it gives me struggling vibes, as if you're kind of grasping for straws, or at least that's what you feel like you have to do because you don't feel as worthy of love. And with you not feeling worthy, it feels like you kind of like play on the sidelines while you watch everyone else. Maybe that's the type of energy you're in. Like, when is it going to be my turn? When is it going to be? I just saw 222 on the timestamp too, and I said that. When is it going to be my time? Or like, when will I be able to? When will all this hard work that I've been this inner work pay off or whatever? Let's see here with this Eight of Pentacles being in reverse. Like, granted, you do give me this very hardworking feeling, like you kind of overcompensate in a way, or you try to, but this gives me like perfectionist. Like, you just want everything to be, whether it be dealing with you or the other person, it has to look a certain way, or it has to be set to a certain standard, especially by you. I'll say more pressure. I feel like you put a lot more pressure on yourself than you have to in terms of love. Love is not it's not like a job or something you gotta like. You do have to prepare for it. You know, you want to be ready to receive it when it comes. However, I think that you may be looking at qualities within yourself that someone else would love about you, and you're like, oh no, this isn't likable. Let me fix this, and it just again keeps you in this like on this holding period. But it's like, again, it says even when you work on these things, you still don't feel like you're good enough. You feel very inexperienced, and that's why when it comes to taking action here, you kind of land on this page because you're so blinded by all these things. But if you look here, the Queen of Cups is your last card to come out, and she's facing this way. It's like you're prepping yourself for this like Queen of Cups type energy, but this card already came out for you, which means it's already in you. You have, and it's the only cup card for real. So you're very in tune with your emotions. You're very like balanced, well balanced when it comes to it. You know how to make a decision um from an, what is the word I'm looking for? Like, even keeled perspective. Like, you don't jump the gun in terms of like when it comes to relationships, you're really easygoing and laid back. It's not like you don't have what it takes to be in a relationship. I think you kind of just count yourself out in a way, and that is what holds you back from receiving it, or that is what holds it back from coming into your energy or your direction or whatever, because you don't feel worthy enough. I am noticing here that this Eight of Pentacles being here in the upright, this is the only card where she's inside. You don't have to be a girl or a woman. You could be a man too. But I notice all these are like outdoorsy type cards. It seems like you spend a lot of time maybe in isolation, maybe getting outside or interacting with people, interacting with whatever it is that's around you that would help you. That also could play into why this Six of Pentacles energy is here, because you don't feel like you're worthy enough to get out and show your gifts, show your creativity, show your talents, because you're too busy trying to work on it, when there's really nothing that needs to be worked on. When it comes to your emotional capacity and the level that you have within you, like you could bring out in terms of a connection, it would be very, very conducive. It would be very productive. And to have within a relationship, you kind of don't really factor that in. You're like, okay, I got that, but now I gotta have this, this, and this. What is it, like materialistic stuff? Like I don't know what it would be. Maybe you're kind of like financially not ready. Maybe you aren't where you want to be career wise or whatever. You feel like it could be a number of different things. This is a very general reading, so I can't really pinpoint for everyone, but it seems like the emotional aspect of it, or the emotional capacity aspect of it, isn't being factored in. When that is very, very important. That's probably one of the, as far as emotional capacity, you don't want to use emotions as your guiding force or source every time when you make decisions in a relationship. But it is important to have a healthy emotional capacity, a healthy mental capacity. And she's a queen, which means she's gone through all of those things in order to become who she is. So whatever else it is here, it's kind of clouding your judgment in a sense, and it's keeping you again in this waiting cycle here, all because you already made the decision that this is something that you want to do, but once it comes time to do it, you fail to execute because, again, you don't feel worthy enough. Maybe this Six of Pentacles here, like this could have been you like putting yourself out there, and it just maybe the people you met in your past weren't like compatible with you, for lack of a better word. Circumstances happen. There's a myriad of things that could happen to make a relationship, cause a relationship to fail. But that doesn't take away from your true essence and who you are as a person. Yeah, there may be things that needed to be worked on or improved on, but I mean, and maybe for some of you, that's what keeps you here, because you're like harping on your last relationship. And it's like, oh no, like I got to do better than my last. I got to be better than my last because he or she said all these things to me, or we went through all these things. But you can't bring that into your future connections or your future environment in general. Like, you want to be very wary of uh, when you move forward, what you allow to move forward with you. I can definitely say that, but there's just seems like it's a whole lot going over here in terms of like maybe lower self-esteem, low confidence, or inadequacy. But this Page of Wands here with the Queen of Cups gives me like this optimistic feeling and this hope that this will turn around in a way where you'll start to notice that about yourself, and maybe not hold so much weight on what doesn't necessarily matter in terms of having a genuine connection with, because all that other stuff is really extra. It's not saying it's not great to have, or it's not like necessary to build upon with, but as far as the essence of a relationship and things like that, it doesn't matter to anything but our egos and our self-identity and things like that. So let me get into your oracle now. All right. So for your first card, you have find healing messages in nature. Like I was saying, like maybe you need to get out with this Eight of Pentacles. And it's represented by number 40. It says a robin landing outside your window when you're missing a departed loved one, a breeze kicking up just as you contemplate a career change, a saying scrawled in the sand on the beach that speaks to your soul, or a puppy yapping happily when you tell a friend you're getting hitched, are healing intuitive messages. So yeah, I think what this is saying, I'm going to read it out the book too, but just finding like those synchronicities, or finding those out of the blue circumstances that happen. There's no such thing as coincidence. Just taking it all in and allowing that to fuel you, like just life itself, just building. Because I mean, and I can honestly say for myself speaking, when I go to take walks, I just feel so much more alive, so much more like in tune with what's going on. I feel like, yeah, I'm here, I'm living, I'm breathing, I'm worthy of being here. Like, I have a new day. It's a brighter day. Even if it's not, it could be raining. I don't care. It's just God woke me up, so it's an amazing day. Things like that. You gotta kind of tell yourself that and get out and try to see it for yourself too. Don't be closed off in this trying to fix yourself and stay crunched in. Like, I just get this claustrophobic type energy with this. Like, you can't even breathe because, oh, I'm dropping cards. You can't even breathe because you're too busy, like, trying to move on to the next improvement. That's not good. All right, so I'm gonna read that out the book. It says, and it's on page 90. Oh, you know what? I gotta do something at the end of this too. Same thing I had to do for Pile 3. um, it says, find healing messages in nature. Humans can have profound mystical experiences with nature elements or landscapes that divide reason and logic. It might be visiting a mountain range that communicates standing your ground in strength, or sailing an ocean that makes you feel more expansive and adventurous. A stunning nature scene encountered on a hike or vacation can make people feel closer to spirit. That's just what I was saying. Like, you can't, maybe that you're feeling closer to God is for sure. Yeah. Nature's energy can be harnessed in more ways than just to run an automobile or power a house. Nature can be a supportive, mystical force, especially for humans who respect it. Notice how animals might move or make a noise in a way that inexplicably seems to confirm or deny something you say. How a flock of birds dramatically takes flight just when you have an important epiphany, or how a bunch of I'm sorry, y'all, blame it on Mercury retrograde. I'm tripping over these words. Or how a bunch of fresh flowers in a vase on your desk makes the energy in your whole office and day noticeably lighter and brighter. Pulling this card can suggest your soul has a special or significant relationship to nature, or that nature's influence is especially healing and comforting for you right now. Yes, so that card didn't come up for no reason. You definitely need to get out and explore and see and take it all in. Even if you like, I'm a big fan of going for walks without sound, without music, without anything. Like, I mean, I don't know how like popular it is to actually listen to something when you're taking walks, but if you're one of those people who can't do it without sound, I definitely recommend you trying it just to be able to take it in and take in the essence of like just life itself, just the fact that you're here and you're able to experience this life in the way that maybe others can't, or not even that others can't, but just being able to do it all the same. Before I read the rest of these oracle cards, I did the same thing in pile 2. I forgot to read the symbolism because y'all picked these rings. So you picked the butterfly. I just want to read it real quick before I continue on. It says that the butterflies are interpreted in their own way, but generally they're thought to represent change and transformation, comfort, hope, and positivity. While some believed ancestors communicated through butterflies, others took the presence of these creatures as a joyous or hopeful sign. So yeah, I mean, and it again, perfect for you, the butterfly representing the transformation in a sense where it can get a little murky, it can get a little uncomfortable in that cocoon, but once you blossom, you're like totally unrecognizable. I think once you come up out of this shell where you feel like you're inadequate, because I mean, I don't know how caterpillars think, but just think of 5 different caterpillars. They're like, all right, y'all, I'm going in my cocoon. I am too. I don't know what this is, but let's just go for it. And then they all going for it the whole process. You're like, I don't know if I'm gonna be pretty enough. I don't know if I'm gonna have nice wings. I don't know if I'm gonna be bigger than the others or the same size. It's a whole bunch of questions some caterpillars could be asking themselves. And it's normal because we're all uniquely and wonderfully made, but just know the way you come out is the way that God loves you for you. I'm not saying be this toxic person. If you have work you need to do, then by all means do that. But that's not what I'm picking up for this reading. I don't get any toxicity. If anything, it's more so towards yourself and the way you talk to yourself, and the way you feel like you're not worth it. Like, that is the only thing I will say that probably needs to stop here. Not even probably, it does. And I don't typically like to say what needs to happen here, but that's just like, that's not conducive. I know for a fact that that's not conducive. I've been there before, and it doesn't do anything but bring you down even further. It's not good for you. And if that is a habit of yours and it takes 21 days to break a habit, start today. That's all I'll say about that. Whether you choose to or not is entirely up to you, but just know that beating yourself down like that is only going to lower your vibration, and you will get what you attract. And that's somebody who's not worth it. And those are the instances where you find people settling for stuff that they don't want, that they know is not good for them, or whatever the case may be. And you do not want to be one of those people. All right, so let me read the next one. You got dignified strength, represented by the number 13. That is the death card all the way. Transformation. You got the butterfly ring. Come on, y'all. And you got strength. Like, I mean, the strength part come, but this says strength, and it says dignified. Matter of fact, I know that word dignified. Let me look it up real quick. I know it means like sure of self or something. Not even sure of self. It says having or showing a composed or serious manner that is worthy of respect. Yeah, like it's like somebody who knows like themselves. And this is something this is a situation you want to know yourself in. Or not even that. This is just a life path that you want to really get to know yourself in and out. That includes like the parts of you that you're uncomfortable with, sure. But you seem to already know all that. Let's get into the part. Let's get into knowing ourselves in the Queen of Cups energy, and the energy of someone who has the emotional capacity to do what it is that they need to do, or to take on like different challenges. You are really sleeping on yourself here. You need to look up the word dignified for yourself, whether you got to repeat the definition to yourself every day. Say, I am dignified. I know myself. I'm worthy of respect, even from myself. Because how you talk to yourself, how you treat yourself sets the tone for everybody else. Everybody else. And you want to make sure that that tone is of your standard. I'm not saying be out here, be cocky, but sure, yes, be confident. Be confident as hell. Be open to constructive criticism. Yes, if you know it's something, maybe you're building with somebody and you know they come to you like, hey, you know, this blah 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 didn't sit well with me, and you know you got respect and love within that connection, then yeah, take it into consideration because this is somebody you want to build with. But when it comes to loving yourself, this is more for my poppies. This is more of a definite reading for loving yourself, a healing message for loving yourself, so that someone can come and love you, because you just be picking on yourself for some reason. So then you got activated earth, another get outside card. I ain't read it yet, but I just see earth. It says power places, ley lines, trust where you're led. Trust where you're led just makes me say, here, go for a walk. Go for a walk. And it's like I said, it's an earth card. I don't care. You need to go take a walk, even if it's 10 minutes. 10 minutes will go a long way. I'm telling you, especially when you're walking, because 10 minutes feels like a lot longer than 10 minutes when you like on the phone or working or watching a movie or something. Let me read that one out the book. That one is on page. Wait, did I read Dignified Strength? No. Y'all, I'm telling you, I'm sorry. Forgive me in advance. It's Mercury retrograde's fault. Dignified Strength. It's maybe this is how y'all are. Like y'all are just kind of like all over the place. Cause I didn't read this one. Like I pulled them out. I don't even know. I don't even remember if I read this one. It's just a whole lot going on with Power 3. Y'all gotta excuse me. I'm not normally like this. I promise. If this is your first time watching it, charge it to my head and not my heart. Anyway, Dignified is on page 42, and it says, a planet is at its strongest when it is essentially or accidentally dignified in a sign or placement that aligns with its nature and adds strength. For example, Mars is at its most Mars-like when it's Scorpio or Aries, the two signs it rules, or in Capricorn, which is a strong sign of leadership. A dignified planet is like the soccer player who happens to be out in front and free, in the exact right place to receive a pass. The action here says, your voice matters. Trust that you are what's needed here at this moment. You are in your element and at the right place at the right time, so you have an advantage. But it's up to you to make a choice and run with the ball. Dodge the obstacles and look for the opportunities just beginning to emerge. Have faith in yourself. You have what it takes, even if you don't know it yet. It is up to you to tap into your potential and find the resources within. Play to your strengths, use your contacts, sing the song that best fits your voice. Do so with humble respect for the process. This situation is strong enough for you to fulfill your potential without stepping on another person to get ahead. The wind is with you, but will not do the work for you. Take the lead, do your work, and bring your team along with you. And then lastly, your challenge is, it may be tempting to take over, yet it's time for you to shine. But bring everyone along with you rather than dominate them, or you may be left high and dry once this game is over. So, with this particular card and the way that I am reading it, I feel like when it's saying play to your strength, use your contacts, and it's saying things like, where's it at? Yes, it's time for you to shine, but bring everyone along with you, things of that nature, and not to like step on anybody. I think that is referring to the way, again, you speak to yourself. Like you want to factor in, like who you are right now, you want to build upon her or him. You want to build upon that because you are amazing and you have what it takes. You just have to kind of see that for yourself. I can tell you that all day and all night. You're not going to believe it until you actually sit down and pull those qualities out yourself and realize just how dignified you are, just how sure and worthy of yourself you can be. And ask yourself why you don't feel like you're worthy of love or but even of self, love of self. Ask yourself why you don't feel like you're worthy of respect or you're worthy of, like, why do you feel like, oh, I'm in this waiting cycle? And if it's something that you're doing, you end up finding out that you're doing to yourself, again, this is time for you to stop and break the habit of self-sabotage and of not noticing the good within you. You really, really have to, I mean, not have to, but like what would benefit you is really getting out and just experiencing life outside of this bubble that you constantly are living in. This shell, like you, it feels like the only opinion you have is the one of that you tell yourself that you've gotten from past experiences or past people that you've dealt with. And it's making you feel again inadequate. Like you're staring at, like you see, you know your potential, but it's like I just will never get there. But you are there. You are there. You really are. You really are. And you, I mean, like, I don't know, like, it just, I think you're really just going through this butterfly phase that is like making you feel unsure and unworthy of yourself. And that is normal. But at some point, we have to kind of tell that inner critic in our head to be quiet. We have to, like, be okay with not being okay and be okay with being uncomfortable. Not necessarily not being okay. I won't say that because I mean, well, I guess it is because when you're uncomfortable, you're unsure, and you just, that just the way life works for us sometimes. But that's the times that you want to build on and just tell yourself like everything is going to be okay. I am worthy. I do matter. I'm stronger than I think I am. I've gotten through other things before. Let me just get through this. Like whatever you have to tell yourself or talk to yourself, or even if you have people around you, just make sure they're telling you the good things and great things about yourself as well. Don't allow the negative talk to run you down or run you over because it's not worth it. Then you have, like I said, Activated Earth. That one is on page 32, and it reads, ley lines are invisible pathways on the land along which energy travels. They can be sensed when we tune into them or our subtle senses. Also known as spirit paths, they have been compared to the meridian system of the body used in Chinese medicine, and they link sacred sites, stone circles, burial mounds, and places of worship worldwide. In Australian Aboriginal culture, song lines were the paths traveled by the creator beings as they made the land and sea during the dreaming. These paths were recorded in the traditional songs and dances of the people, allowing them to access information about the land's history and to travel safely along great distances. Many believe that as we visit such sacred points on earth, something is activated within us. Some also believe that by connecting with the land with devotion at these sacred places, something is activated within the planet too. Are you being called to travel to a sacred place that your soul remembers, or to tend the land you live on? To honor and acknowledge the known and unknown keepers or nature spirits of that land. As you connect with the earth and honor its keepers, the land opens up more fully to hold you, the fruits provide more nourishment, and the guardians watch over you. So, yeah, I think this is just about, what I thought about? Like growing something. Like if you were like a plant mom or a plant dad or something like that and you grow, just think of the process like that and how long sometimes it may take for some plants to grow in comparison to others, and how much, like there's certain amounts of water that some plants can take and then some can't. Like there's this whole intricate process, in terms of the way the earth is grown, the trees are grown, and things like that. And when you're out in nature, just being kind of mindful of the complexity of the earth, and knowing that because the earth is complex, that sometimes situations in our lives will become complex, and it won't always make sense to us. We won't always have the answers to all the questions, but what we do have is our self-assurity, our self-worth, and we know that. Just make sure that you know that you are worthy. Like, God woke you up this morning with another chance at life, the same 24 hours as the next person. It really all depends on how you use it and what you put in for it. But just know this is your life. You want to take advantage of it in the best of ways. And if love is something that you desire, or that you dream of, or that you essentially want for yourself, knowing that it is possible, as long as you are willing and able and courageous enough to take the steps forward to make it happen. And sometimes that includes letting go of imposter syndrome, or the negative past that we've been connected to. Then you have, give yourself some credit for doing a good job at this whole living thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, God woke you up. Like, give yourself more credit. Like, you just spend so much of your time just saying nothing that is of substance or of goodness to yourself. I can't wait to get to these 3 affirmations for you, so you can potentially, if you feel called, repeat them to yourselves, or look up some that resonate with you more, and just start speaking life into yourself the same way you would do with a person if you had them, because you know you would. You're probably the type to, like, bend over backwards for somebody, just in terms of approval. I know that sounds crazy, but you probably are, just because you are like, I want this so bad. Like, but then you don't go do it for yourself, and then that's what leads to these, not like, these unequally yoked and imbalances, where you feel like, I don't have much to offer, because you done drained it all, and you can't give it to yourself, essentially, so you can't give it to somebody else. Just be very, 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 even if you go into nature, or outside to recharge, that can be your sense of recharge and just getting out, because you're so used to being cooped up and doing all this work and shadow work and shit that don't even need to be done no more. Like, you're good. You are so good. Like, I'm not saying you're perfect. We all need work. We're gonna have, like, we all got little ways to us that is like, we can do a little whatever on, but it's nothing crazy that's keeping you from having a healthy, successful relationship other than yourself. So yeah, your last 3 affirmations you got: today I am focused. Today I will be productive and feel good about doing the hard work that I need to do. Yeah, feel good about it. You know what you should say? I started saying to myself at the gym, like, when I be going through when I'm on the Stairmaster, and I don't be doing, listen, the Stairmaster is hell. But I'd be like, I get to do such as 20 minutes of these. Like, oh God, knowing good and well it's going to burn once I get off that Stairmaster. I get to do it. I got legs, I got breath in my, stuff like that. Just start out small, because when you go to be in a relationship, you're going to be filled with so much life and vitality that it's going to piggyback. You find somebody that aligns with you, and now y'all going through life and experiencing it. I get to do this. I get to do that. Even if it's waiting for love, I get to wait for my soulmate. I don't got to deal with this shit that is not aligning with me anyway. There's so many things. Just be productive. Feel good about it. Even if it's hard, just be blessed in it. You know what I mean? Like, there's somebody who don't get to do it. Not a comparison thing. Is just a way to keep you elevated. Then you got, today is a fresh start. Today is a brand new day that I will embrace as a new beginning and make the most of this day. That means not remembering the past, not necessarily not remembering it, but not considering it to the point where you feel like you're beating up on yourself, like, oh, I did this last week, or I did this my last relationship. Forget all that. Yeah, you did that, but they did this. Like, nobody's perfect. Next. You know what I mean? Not saying minimize anything. I'm just, well, shit, sometimes you do got to minimize something, because it's not of importance, and it'll be a blockage for you, and you'll continue to, like, be like, oh, some stuff really ain't as bad as we be thinking it is. We're just so trapped in our own little bubble, 8 of Pentacles, that we can't see. Today I feel worthy. Today I will accept all the wonderful things in this life. That includes yourself. It says today I feel worthy. I feel worthy to be able to do this life thing. I feel worthy in my skin. I'm beautiful. I'm handsome, whatever. I'm intelligent. I'm loving. I'm nurturing. Whatever. You just have to accept and take in the good and just notice the uncomfortable, but don't allow it to weigh in on you to the point where it becomes, who you are, like the essence of your core, if that makes sense. But yeah, pile 3, thank you so much for being here with me. I pray this resonated with you. If it does, please let me know down in the comments. You can like and subscribe as well. I would love if you guys did that. But yeah, I thank you all so much for being here. If you'd like to book a personal session with me, you can do so over on my website, www.theangelicmuse.com. And yeah, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day or your night.